Right, buckle up, because Nigel Farage has just dropped an absolute bombshell that has left Keir Starmer looking more vulnerable than ever. And I am not exaggerating when I say this could be the revelation that finally pushes him over the edge. Farage, with his characteristic timing and flair for political drama, has apparently obtained and exposed details of a secret Labour plan, a strategy document or series of internal communications that reveals what the party has been planning behind closed doors, and the contents are so damaging, so politically toxic, so utterly at odds with what Labour has been telling the public that it makes every previous accusation of dishonesty and hypocrisy look mild by comparison. We are talking about documented evidence of Labour saying one thing to voters while planning to do something completely different. We are talking about policies that were deliberately concealed because focus groups showed they would be electoral poison. We are talking about the kind of cynical political calculation that destroys trust and credibility when it gets exposed. And Farage has exposed it in spectacular fashion, with receipts and documentation that cannot be spun away or dismissed as opposition exaggeration. Starmer is already on the brink after multiple scandals and cabinet resignations, and this revelation might be the final push that sends him tumbling into the political abyss. This is Farage doing what he does best, identifying the weak points, obtaining the evidence, and delivering the knockout blow with perfect timing. If you want every detail of what exactly this secret plan contains and why it is so devastating to Starmer's already collapsing premiership, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because this story is absolutely explosive and it is going to dominate political coverage for days. So let us start with what we know about this secret Labour plan that Farage has exposed, because the specifics are absolutely crucial to understanding why this is so damaging. The reports suggest that Farage has obtained internal Labour strategy documents, possibly leaked by a disgruntled party insider, possibly obtained through journalistic investigation. The source is less important than the content. These documents apparently outline Labour's real policy intentions in areas where they have been deliberately vague or misleading during the campaign and since taking office. We are talking about immigration, where the public position has been carefully calibrated to sound tough, while the internal plans apparently involve numbers and approaches that would horrify the voters Labour is trying to court. We are talking about taxation, where promises of no increases for working people apparently have asterisks and caveats that were never mentioned publicly. We are talking about Europe, where the official line is that Brexit is done and dusted, while internal documents apparently discuss paths toward closer alignment that would undermine key aspects of what Brexit was supposed to achieve. The immigration component is particularly explosive because this is the issue where public concern is highest and where Labour has been most evasive. If Farage's revelations show that Labour is planning significantly higher immigration numbers than they have admitted publicly, if they show that enforcement will be even weaker than under the Conservatives, if they show that the tough rhetoric was just window dressing while the actual policy is wide open borders, that is absolutely devastating. Immigration was a key issue in the election. Voters who supported Labour on the assumption that they would control numbers better than the Tories are going to feel massively betrayed, and the political fallout will be enormous. The taxation revelations are equally damaging because Labour made very specific promises about not raising taxes on working people, about protecting family budgets, about economic responsibility. If the secret plans show that those promises were lies, that tax rises are planned across multiple areas, that the definition of working people has been deliberately narrowed to exclude huge numbers of actual workers, then voters will rightly feel conned. Trust in politics is already at rock bottom, and revelations like this push it even lower while destroying Labour's credibility specifically. The Europe angle is fascinating because this cuts across traditional political divides. There are Labour voters who voted Leave and who will be furious if the party is planning to reverse Brexit by stealth. There are Labour voters who voted Remain, but who accepted that Brexit is done and dusted, and who will feel manipulated if they were not told about plans for closer alignment.
And crucially, this gives Farage and Reform UK perfect ammunition to argue that the establishment parties are all the same, that they all want to drag Britain back toward the European Union, regardless of what voters want, that democracy is essentially being subverted by politicians who think they know better. Farage's presentation of this material has been characteristically effective. He is not just dumping documents and expecting people to read them. He is highlighting the most damaging sections. He is contrasting them with public statements from Starmer and other Labour figures. He is making the hypocrisy and dishonesty crystal clear in ways that even casual observers can understand. He is using clips and quotes to show Labour saying one thing publicly, while their internal documents say something completely different. It is devastating political communication, and it is being amplified across media and social platforms at incredible speed. The reaction from the Labour Party has been predictably defensive and unconvincing. They are trying to claim the documents are taken out of context, that they represent early-stage thinking rather than firm plans, that opposition parties always make these kinds of allegations. But the problem with these defenses is that Farage has the actual documents. He can quote from them directly. He can show that the context does not change the fundamental dishonesty. When you're caught red-handed with documentary evidence contradicting your public statements, claiming context or misunderstanding just makes you look more dishonest. Starmer personally is in an impossible position. If he acknowledges that the documents are real and represent Labour's actual thinking, he admits to lying to voters, which is career-ending. If he tries to claim the documents are fake or irrelevant, he looks like he is in denial and dishonest, which is also career-ending. If he tries to split the difference by saying some elements are real but have been superseded by new thinking, he still admits to previous dishonesty while creating doubt about whether the new position is any more truthful. There is no good option, only varying degrees of political catastrophe. The media is having an absolute field day with this story, as they should. This is exactly the kind of investigative revelation that journalism exists to uncover and publicize. Every outlet is running extensive coverage, getting expert analysis, demanding responses from Labour figures who are conspicuously unavailable for comment. The documents are being pored over in detail, with each new damaging section getting its own news cycle. This is not a one-day story. This is the kind of scandal that has legs and will run for weeks potentially. The opposition parties are naturally exploiting this to the maximum. The Conservatives are using it to attack Labour's integrity and to argue that voters were sold a false prospectus. They are highlighting every area where the secret plans contradict the public promises and asking how anyone can trust Labour on anything if they lied about this. It is politically effective, though somewhat undermined by their own terrible track record on honesty and competence. Still, when your opponent hands you ammunition this powerful, you use it regardless of your own vulnerabilities. Reform UK is in the strongest position to exploit this because Farage broke the story and because Reform's entire brand is built on opposing the establishment parties as fundamentally dishonest. This revelation feeds perfectly into their narrative and gives them concrete evidence to point to when making their broader arguments about political corruption and voter betrayal. Every Reform UK candidate in every upcoming election is going to be armed with these documents and the ability to say, "See, we told you they were lying, here is the proof." The electoral impact could be significant, particularly in seats where Labour's majority is narrow. But perhaps most damaging is the reaction from Labour's own voters and supporters. These are people who believed the promises, who trusted that Labour would be different from the Conservatives, who thought they were voting for genuine change. Discovering that they were lied to, that the party they supported had secret plans that contradicted everything they were told, that the party they supported had secret plans that contradicted everything they were told, that is profoundly disillusioning. Some of these voters will stick with Labour because they have nowhere else to go, or because they still prefer them to the alternatives, but many will feel betrayed, will lose faith in the political system entirely, or will actively look for alternatives like Reform or the Liberal Democrats, or simply not voting at all. The internal Labour reaction is reportedly one of fury and recrimination. MPs who were not aware of these secret plans are angry that they were kept in the dark and made to look like fools defending positions that the leadership apparently never believed in. MPs who were aware of the plans are angry at whoever leaked them and at the leadership for creating documents that were so politically damaging if exposed. There is blame flying in all directions, which is what happens when a party gets caught in fundamental dishonesty. The constitutional and democratic implications are worth considering as well. When a political party makes promises to get elected and then has secret plans to do something different, that is not just politically problematic, it undermines the entire basis of democratic accountability. Voters are supposed to be able to make informed choices based on what parties tell them they will do. If those statements are fundamentally dishonest, if the real plans are hidden until after the election, then democracy